Ladies and gentlemen, our next panel will feature a conversation with Brad Parscale and Lara Trump, moderated by Chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp.
Did you make it? The chairs are a little tight.
Hi, everybody.
We're doing this interview seated so I don't feel like a shrimp. That's kind of what we're doing.
We're really tall, but it works out between the two of us, right?
As the boss says, I'm the world's tallest campaign manager in history.
True.
And my guess is he's actually done the research to make sure that that's true.
He did the research.
Is it true that Mike Bloomberg said he was 6 feet on his driver's license? I've read this. Is that true?
He's 5 foot -2.
-2. That's right. Kind of like his poll numbers.
There you go.
Ooh.
Oh, low blows.
Okay, so we are so excited to have you at CPAC. Are you guys excited to have them at CPAC? This is pretty cool. We're having a Trump family reunion backstage, which is now going to be on the stage over the course of the next couple hours. And Lara, it's a real honor to have you all here.
Thank you. Thank you. We're so excited to be here. You know, Matt, I don't have to tell you. CPAC, guys, this is it. This is so exciting. This is the place to be in Washington, D.C., right? And in America right now, by the way. And I'm going to try and get through this. I've almost lost my voice, but I said I got to make it here today to talk to the people at CPAC, so I'll do my best.
The good news is Brad likes to talk.
Yeah.
So this is good.
I do. I have to be able to communicate with my boss. He's, as you know, he's a tough boss. And but anyways, thank you for having us here. This is a great year. It's 2020. It's time to get 4 more years for President Trump.
Is anybody in this room excited to go vote on November 3rd and see the media meltdown again? It's going to be so great. I can't wait.
So we're here today to kind of give you, Lara and I, as a campaign manager, Lara from the family kind of dedicates every day to the campaign. So we work together every day, and what we're trying to do is build out a campaign not only the president can be proud of, but the whole country can be proud of, and build something that has been revolutionary not only in digital, but the ground game, our coalition's efforts, and all across the country. The president was really smart that on the day after the election, he said, hey, today wasn't the day the fight stopped. Today is the day the fight is beginning. And he understood that, and so he said, put your foot on the gas pedal. On his first day after he won, he said, let's already start working for 2020. And we've been building out a campaign longer than anyone in history, and that's allowed us to revolutionize. And thank you.
Brad, I actually think, and I'm sorry, Matt, we're just taking over the stage.
My job is to be a potted plant, really. Just you guys are to talk.
But I love the analogy that Brad always gives. I think it's always good to compare and contrast where we are today in 2020, because we are in it, guys. It is an election year. This is happening. Versus where we were in 2016. He has the best analogy. Wait for it. Go ahead, Brad.
So in 2016, I always say we were a plane flying that was being built in real time. So some days we didn't have windows. Some days we didn't even have pilots. Some days,
a lot of days we didn't have pilots.
Hey, Brad, we didn't notice any of that. It just looked perfect.
Some days didn't have chairs. We were laying on the floor. But this time I said to the president, I said, let's build an entire fleet before we even take off out of the ground. And we've done that. And that's why it's firing on all cylinders. And even the media can't do anything but write, hit pieces now because they can't say anything negative about the campaign because it's operating better, more smoothly, and operating better for this party and for the future of the party and the president than any party in our campaign history.
Yep. Interesting statistic. Where are the ladies in the room today, by the way? Wait a minute.
Wow.
I don't get it, guys. I thought you didn't support Donald Trump because you're a woman. Is that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? Let me tell you guys a great statistic here. This is what you need to know. There are a lot of polls out there. In 2016, the donations that we got into the Trump campaign, 25% of those came from women. Yes. Better news than ever because 2019 and 2020, 50% are coming from the ladies. So you tell me about the polling out there. We got the women.
Let me ask you one question. I think you guys say this all the time. Who would Brad and Lara like to run against in the general election. Does it matter which extreme Democrat gets picked, or are you ready for any one of them?
First, we built a system that's ready for our boss, the President of the United States. And then secondly, we built it to compete against any of them. Does the map change against some of them? Yes. I think there's ones where the map could expand well past 30 states that we won last time. Yes, you can cheer to that.
These people will be responsible for some of that change.
Yes, and please, this next week, we'll be launching Army for Trump. It'll be armyfortrump.com. The app will be released. You'll start seeing that all over the news. And it's time to get out there. It's time to start knocking doors, making phone calls. It's time to become on the ground, become digital activists, and fight, because they are going to cheat. They will. Trust me, I saw the cheating in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. They're not going to wake up in 2020 and go, you know what, let's play fair now.
Well, they haven't been playing fair at all along the way, because we've seen what they've tried to do to this president, right? The good news is they forget that he grew up in Queens and he's a fighter. Every day they fight him, he fights back twice as hard, and it's working for the American people.
That's right.
I will say, it's all the women cheering. Look at them.
All the ladies, I love it.
I bet you, I would not be surprised.
They're here for Brad, don't get it.
I'm here for Brad, too.
I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up and over half our volunteers on November 4th are women also. Let me give you some numbers to make you feel really good about what we're building. I think these numbers surprise people. In 2016, we had about 600,000 volunteers, trained volunteers, mostly trained. We will have 2 million trained volunteers for 2020.
We're already at half a million.
We already past 500,000.
Yeah.
Which means we're already caught our 2016 numbers, and we don't even have a candidate to run against yet. I'll give you another great number. There is a thing called a neighborhood team leader. It's part of the Trump Victory program that we do at the RNC. Thank you if you're a neighborhood team leader. It's one of the best things you can become.
Yes, right there. Thank you.
If you become one in your neighborhood, you get a 15% increase on average turnout for the president. We had 3,000 of those in 2016. We're on pace right now for 90,000 in 2020.
That's awesome.
On top of that, we were about 6, 7 states really strongly this time. We're in 17 states. We've increased and doubled our budget pretty much of our ground operation across the country. We are fighting the states. Let me give you a great thing about expanding the map. There are several states that last time we didn't win. New Hampshire, Minnesota, Nevada, New Mexico. If you look at just New Mexico and Minnesota, our entire budget for those 2 states in 2016 was $35,000, one staffer, and we sent him to Colorado because we didn't think we were going to win it. This time, we're talking about tens of millions, more staff on the ground than the entire 2015 ground game, and you already have them in those states fighting for it. And remember, we only lost Minnesota by a small amount, and if you look at what's happening with Latinos across the country, they're coming in huge numbers and huge waves to present, and now New Mexico is in play.
Let me just try to weave this together a little bit. Ron Romney was on the ground all day yesterday. The RNC was involved with us with a training. We actually expanded CPAC.
That's TV Alive.
The first day, that's right. The first day of CPAC was training, because we don't just want to talk at you. We want to work together with you to learn so we can all go home and be better activists, including online activists. We already done one CPAC in Minnesota. We're going to come back and do another CPAC in Minnesota. We had CPAC West in Reno, Nevada. If you're from these states, you're welcome to cheer. We're going to be back in Nevada for another CPAC West, because everyone has a role to play to take back this country and to keep it great.
And as you see, as they continue to move towards big government socialist policies, they all raise their hand to giving free health care to illegal immigrants. As they continue to say that they want to take away private insurance to create big government socialized medicine that would fail under the kind of things that are coming towards this country in the future. And as it continues, they run towards that. You're going to see new states come and play, because Americans are going to wake up and say, this isn't what I believe in. And you're going to see that. This crazy progressive wave running towards their small dollar fundraising will not work across America, especially flyover country.
The president said it, America will never be a socialist country.
So turn around, you guys. Our theme, as you all know, for CPAC 2020 is America versus socialism. For Lara, I mean, with your father and your family, you were new to politics. This wasn't your bag.
That's true.
Which is one of the things that I think people like so much about you.
Oh, thank you.
One of the many. But you got into this because you realized where the country was. And that's really why Donald Trump got into it. The truth of the matter is, he saw America under the 8 years of Obama, and he saw it getting broken down.
Yeah, well, my father-in-law was probably like so many of us in this room, so frustrated by what he saw happening to this country and the wasteful spending. I don't know if anybody remembers the shrimp on the treadmill. Do you guys remember that? Like stuff like that, like 10 years ago, just a ridiculous waste of our money instead of revitalizing and rebuilding our military and making sure that things were working for people in this country. Trade was working for us. People had jobs. There was prosperity. He got so frustrated, Matt, like you said, he just said, I think I'm the only person that can do this job, because don't forget, Donald Trump didn't need this job, right? He doesn't need Washington, D.C. He doesn't need any of the special interest groups, the lobbying groups. He's not playing their game. That's why they fight him so hard every single day, right? Because they know he's taking it to him every day. But for all of us, I mean, we were all brand new to politics. It'll come as a shock if you saw our campaign in 2016. It was very grassroots, we'll say. But
It did win, though.
what's that?
It did win, though.
Good win.
I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, but we all learned a lot then, and I think now the good news is, as we're in 2020, the president said it in 2016, what do you have to lose by voting for me, right? Now, guys, we have everything to lose, and that is why this election is so, so important.
I have to say there was the what do you have to lose, which I think he just thought of one day and said it. I could be wrong.
Off the cuff, totally.
yeah.
And I think the other thing is this idea you're going to get tired of winning, because
Is anybody in here tired of winning?
No
I
one's
want to just
tired
take a
of
quick
winning.
poll. No.
no, I'm gonna be honest, okay? I'm not tired of winning, but I'm exhausted because the pace is unbelievable, and the pace that you all are keeping. It's
Just
like
249 days to go, Matt. Come on.
that's
It is
right.
daunting.
I'm not
We can do
counting.
it. We can do it. So I think that the other thing about your father-in-law, which I think people would love to hear, and Brad, you talk to him all the time, as I know, is, there's this constant portrayal that he's a mad king storming around, yelling at everybody, trying to use the law to get back at his enemies.
Yeah.
My experiences, not like yours, are that he's just in the fight all the time.
I have a great story to tell about this. And so one day I was in the Oval, we were sitting there, and I get a news alert, and it says, Trump's storming mad
While
at
you're
the White
meeting with
House.
him.
And I'm meeting with him, I'm like, are you mad? And he's drinking a Diet Coke, and he's like, what do I be mad about? And I've been with him for a couple hours, right? And he's like, we were joking about stuff. We were having a really good day. And he was like, they said I'm mad? Like, I'm never. And then he yells in the hall, when's the last time I've been mad? And so it was so funny but then article after article writes off that article, right? They love to self-feed.
Well, there's no
love to
due
self-
diligence left in journalism. It is dead, right?
No.
So they just it's clickbait. You guys know how it
Yeah,
works.
so probably somebody looked through the window and he flailed his hand at me saying, no, I don't want another Diet Coke. And he's mad. And so it's amazing how many times we wake up and it's the most amazing thing when you really know, like I actually know. You tap into my brain, I know it's most of these things are going on, right? Because you're just connected. And then you read the article after article, and maybe one sentence is true, and then they sensationalize before and after it. And then they add this thing called analysis, which all of them are not too bright. I mean, there's a few of them, so I got to say that in case they're listening, but they're not, there's a lot of them that don't really know what's going on. And so they write their analysis of this like it's fact. And when they do that, that's what you got in the current news media. And they have to do that because then you won't click on the link and then they won't make money. So it's a vicious spiral that's occurred. And, there's some good ones. Jeffrey here is a great writer.
I think people
Jeffrey
get it. though,
Lord. Hello,
right?
Jeffrey
Yes.
Lord.
Good writer.
Jeffrey Lord.
Do you guys get it out there? You guys know what's real and what's not these days. Because, Matt, right? Because otherwise, if this president was only concerned with himself, why would we be winning so much in this country, guys?
Yeah,
Why would there
right.
be so much success? Truly, the things he's doing every single day, he's doing because he loves this country and he wants everyone to have their shot at the American dream, bottom line. And it's very frustrating, I think, for him, as we all can imagine, to see this kind of nonsense out there.
Let me give you does anybody like data? Yeah, okay.
Brad does. We know Brad does.
I like data a little bit, if you've heard. But I'll tell you one thing that's very interesting. If you listen to a State of the Union speech and you listen to it yourself, then you listen to it through a media filter, it's a 50-point difference in approval. Think about that. You hear the president speak, you're like, wow, that's it. I didn't know I didn't know he stand for that. I didn't know he stood for this, because they'll never tell you anything good. What they'll do is they'll take the 2 seconds of things they think are the most nefarious or scandalous things, put them together in a clip and just repeat it 1,000 times to where you think the entire State of the Union was the introduction. Literally, that's what they do. And so it's all about the handshake or the tear or this or that. But they don't get the guts of the speech, where he gave one of the most presidential speeches in history, and we talked about a future of America. The best, yeah, thank you. The best is yet to come. But they don't show that. If they did, the approval numbers would be even greater. But what you're seeing happening right now across this country is you see Democrats fall into complete chaos as they can't even count votes, which I think all of us could do on Excel. I still can't figure out how they can't count 50,000 votes.
It's called Common Core, Brad, and it got everywhere. I want you to know.
School choice.
I still don't think we actually got the votes, the full votes.
I don't know if anybody knows what happened to Iowa. But as they fall into chaos and the president has everything in the confidence and the control moving towards 2020, you can see what's happening in the polls, because all the media does is sell chaos. And that's the problem, and that's what they're not being honest about, and that's what hurts sometimes. But the president now, and we have so much social channels, we have so ability to talk directly to people. I'll give you one more good number. Even Obama, at the end of his presidency, the size of his list was the biggest ever of direct contacts, was 18 million people. The president's list by election day should be over 50 million. That is the largest direct contact list probably in political history by far that we ever known of, and probably one of the largest in the country other than, maybe a couple commercial companies. But that allows us to go around them. He has almost 200 million contacts across the country, also on social media. And what he does and what he'll continue to do is talk directly to the people and be the most transparent president in U.S. history.
I'm going to quote Ronald Reagan. He famously said during debate, because our time is up, and he said, I paid for these microphones. So since we paid for these microphones, we're going to go just one more question.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, it has its privileges, They all paid for the microphones. The one thing I think is great, the other thing that I can see with my wife's involvement and such, is the spirit of the campaign. It's a very different campaign. It's not like all the other presidential campaigns that maybe some of us have been involved with. And it matches the times and it matches the candidate. But what I love is they all think, like the hate tweeting, when you did your video on the hate tweeting,
yes.
All the nastiness, all the trolling that goes on, just for all you trolls and all you folks that think you're bringing these guys down, behind your backs, in the corridors of the campaign, they pick the worst tweets. And I've never seen people laugh more and have the best attitude, because it does feel good.
We record them and show them.
We do bad tweets. We record a whole video, mean tweets,
yeah.
And we read the mean tweets about us. It's really kind of funny, and we think it's hilarious. So bring them on, trolls. We like some more.
We try to.
Fine.
Your wife is a big part of our campaign.
She's right there. Hello, Mercedes.
She's amazing, Mercedes
Mercedes is amazing. And for the others in my campaign here, they're doing such a great job. We have a great family atmosphere over there. We have a campaign that people are proud to work off. Almost 60% women work in the campaign as well.
3 of us had babies within 3 months of one another, by the way, just so you know.
Yes, and so I'm very proud of our team, and we're almost 200 already over there. That's 3 times the size of what we had in 2016. They're working hard. They're working for this whole country, and they're working for the president. The president came over last week and visited with them. He was blown away by them, and they were so excited. And you really have something that we all can be proud of. And all of you are going to volunteer and participate. You're all part of the family also. And I thank each and every one of you for everything you're going to do. I know how much work it is to get out there and sweat knocking doors and making calls to anonymous people. But it's all of you that stand up and make a difference. It's not me and my computer. Can't do that anymore. They're going to stop that. What it's going to be is all of you standing up, getting out there, doing something and fighting. If you do that, every single one of you, and get 10 people to do that, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish. And I think nothing's better than volunteers standing up and fighting for the president. And that's what's going to keep this movement alive. That's what's going to keep the president have 4 more years.
I think you all agree with me. CPAC feels very honored that you would be here today. We hope to come back.
This is my first time.
My first time, too. Nice. We didn't even know.
Okay, so time number 2 is going to be coming back to CPAC to celebrate a fantastic win.
Yes, to celebrate 4 more years, right?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
8 more years, that's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.